I need you to do something for me right now, and I need you to do it before you listen to another second of this video. I want you to go to the window, look up at the night sky, and then come back to the comments section. Write down your city or country and tell me, have you seen anything that doesn't belong? I'm not talking about satellites or airplanes. I'm talking about lights that pause, shadows that move against the wind, patterns that feel watched. NASA is quietly compiling a database of these reports, and your observation might be the missing piece of a puzzle that has kept me awake for the last 72 hours. What I am about to tell you is going to sound impossible. It challenges the fundamental laws of physics I have spent 50 years writing equations to describe. But I am no longer looking at equations. I am looking at a message. And I'm not sure the human race is ready for what it says. 3 weeks ago at 200 a.m. my phone rang. It was a colleague from the Deep Space Network in Goldstone, California. He is a man of science, a man who deals in hard data and cold numbers. But when he spoke, his voice was trembling. He told me that the interstellar object we call 3I Atlas, the visitor we thought was just passing through, had done something unexpected. It hadn't just changed course. It hadn't just accelerated, it had spoken. But here is the terrifying part. It wasn't a new message. We realized after hours of frantic analysis that we had heard this exact signal before. 3 years ago, when 3I Atlas first breached the edge of our solar system, our sensors picked up a burst of static. At the time we dismissed it. We wrote it off as cosmic background radiation or interference from a solar flare or just a glitch in our own primitive equipment. We were arrogant. We thought if an alien civilization wanted to talk to us, they would use radio waves we could easily understand. We didn't realize that we were like ants trying to listen to a fiber optic cable. But now the signal is back. And this time it is different. It is the same data, but it has been perfected. Imagine you are trying to talk to a child, and they don't understand you. You don't scream louder. You simplify. You remove the complex words. You speak slowly. You enunciate. That is what 3I Atlas has done. It realized we missed the first call, so it stripped away the noise. It removed the redundancies. It adjusted the frequency to match our exact technological capabilities. It lowered its voice so we could finally hear it. And the clarity of this new transmission is what chills me to the bone. It implies that they are watching us. They know exactly how primitive our radios are, and they adjusted their transmitter to accommodate us. I arrived at the facility 16 hours after the call. I walked into a room filled with the brightest astrophysicists and cryptographers on the planet, and the silence was heavy enough to crush you. On the main screen, the data was scrolling. It wasn't random. It was a sequence of prime numbers, geometric progressions, and fundamental constants of the universe. Pi the fine, structure constant, the mass of a proton. This was the handshake. This was the proof of intelligence. But embedded within that math was a file. And when we finally decoded the visual component of that file, we didn't see a blueprint for a spaceship. We didn't see a greeting. We saw a map. It was a three-dimensional representation of the Milky Way galaxy. It was beautiful, terrifying, and detailed beyond anything our telescopes have ever produced. It showed the spiral arms, the galactic core, the dust lanes. But scattered across this map were hundreds of points of light. Not stars, civilizations. Each point of light was marked with a symbol. As we analyzed the data, we realized the symbols were a classification system. Some represented civilizations that had mastered their planetary energy, what we call type I on the Kardashev scale. Others were marked as type Tukin, masters of their stars. A few of the rare giants near the galactic core were type Athuri, masters of the galaxy itself. It was a bustling, crowded, noisy universe. We had been looking for life for decades, wondering where everybody was. The map showed us they were everywhere. Then we found Earth. We were located in a quiet, remote spiral arm far from the galactic center. And next to our sun was a symbol. It didn't match the symbols for the Type I2 or A3 civilizations. It was unique. We spent 3 days cross-referencing the mathematical linguistic keys embedded in the signal to understand what it meant. And when the translation finally clicked into place, the room went cold. The symbol didn't mean developing. It didn't mean primitive. It meant quarantine. Let that sink in for a moment. We are not isolated because of distance. We are not alone because space is too big. We are alone because we have been deliberately cut off. The map suggests that the galaxy is a network of vast, interconnected web of trade knowledge and communication. But we have been firewalled. We are in the cosmic equivalent of a playpen or perhaps a prison cell. The quarantine isn't physical. There is no force field around the solar system blocking our rockets. The quarantine is informational. We are being blocked from the galactic internet. We are being denied the knowledge that flows between these other worlds, the cure for cancer, the secret to fusion energy, the understanding of consciousness itself. The adults in the room have decided that the children are not ready to sit at the table. Why? The answer might be staring us in the face. Look at our world. We are a species that is still tribal. We draw lines on maps and kill each other over which side we stand on. We have split the atom, but instead of using that power solely to light our cities, we built weapons capable of turning our planet into ash. We are developing artificial intelligence, but we are feeding it our biases, our hatreds, and our paranoia. To a galactic civilization that has survived for millions of years, we must look like a toddler waving a loaded gun. You don't invite that toddler to a dinner party. You lock the door until they grow up. But the message from 3i Atlas didn't end with the map. There was one more piece of data, and this is the part that has fundamentally altered my view of our future. Embedded in the transmission was a timestamp, a countdown. According to our best calculations, the countdown reaches 0 in exactly 18 months. The signal does not explicitly state what happens when the clock runs out. Is it an expiration date? Is it the moment the quarantine becomes permanent, sealing us in the dark forever? Or is it something else? My colleagues, and I believe it is a deadline for a test. The perfected signal contains a series of problems. Complex multi-layered challenges involving quantum computing, planetary resource management, and the unification of global consciousness. It looks like a final exam. The galaxy is giving us one last chance to prove we are worthy of joining the community. They have given us the questions. Now we have 18 months to provide the answers. If this hypothesis is correct, then 3i Atlas is not an invader. It is a proctor. It has been sent here to oversee the test. It watched us fail to hear the whisper 3 years ago, so it cleared its throat and spoke up. It wants us to pass. The fact that they adjusted the signal, that they made it easier for us to decode, implies a level of compassion. They are rooting for us, but they will not do the work for us. This realization brings me to a crisis of faith, not in science, but in humanity. The problems embedded in the signal cannot be solved by a single nation. The United States cannot solve this alone. China cannot solve this alone. The sheer computing power and resource coordination required to answer these questions demands a planetary effort. We would have to link our supercomputers. We would have to share our energy grids. We would have to stop seeing ourselves as competitors and start acting like a single organism. Can we do it? Can we put aside thousands of years of history, war, and suspicion in just 18 months? The cynic in me says no. The cynic says we will spend the next year arguing over who owns the signal, who gets to patent the alien math, and who controls the narrative. We will fight over the test paper until the timer runs out and we will fail. But the optimist in me, the part of me that looks up at the stars and feels a connection to that vastness, remembers that we are capable of extraordinary things when our backs are against the wall. We mapped the human genome. We went to the moon with computers less powerful than a calculator. We built the Large Hadron Collider to find the God particle. When we are threatened or when we are inspired, we can transcend our limitations. I believe this is about more than just technology. The quarantine symbol suggests that the barrier isn't just about our weapons, it's about our consciousness. The advanced civilizations on that map have likely evolved beyond the zero, some game of me versus you. They likely understand that consciousness is a fundamental feature of the universe, not just a biological accident. To join them, we have to demonstrate that we understand this too. We have to show that we can be responsible stewards of life. The test might not just be, can you build a quantum drive? It might be, can you feed your entire population? It might be, can you stop destroying your biosphere? It might be, can you look at a stranger and see yourself? I have spent my life studying the evolution of universes, but now I am watching the evolution of a species my own. We are at the tipping point. The transition from a type 0 civilization which scavenges dead plants for fuel to a type I civilization which masters planetary energy is the most dangerous time in any civilization's history. It is the filter. Most don't make it. They burn themselves out or blow themselves up. The quarantine is there to protect the rest of the galaxy from the ones who fail. But if we can solve the riddle in the next 18 months, the reward is unimaginable. The end of scarcity, the end of disease, access to the galactic library of knowledge. We would cease to be a lonely species on a rock and become citizens of the Milky Way. The government knows this. They are terrified of the panic it might cause. They want to keep the quarantine designation secret because it humbles us. It tells us we are not the center of the universe. We are the problem child of the universe. But I believe you have a right to know. You have a right to know that the clock is ticking. So what can you do? You are not a quantum physicist. You don't have access to the deep space network. But you are a node in the human network. You are a part of the collective consciousness that is being tested. Every time you choose cooperation over conflict, every time you choose truth over comfortable lies, you are helping us pass. The signal repeats every 14 hours, synchronized with the rotation of the Earth. It is a constant reminder, tick-tock, tick-tock. 3i Atlas is waiting, the galaxy is watching, and the pencils are in our hands. I will continue to update you as we decode more of the specific challenges in the message. There are teams working in basements and black sites right now trying to crack the math. But the real work is up to all of us. We have 18 months to grow up, 18 months to prove that we are more than just intelligent apes with nuclear weapons. Look up at the sky tonight. Really look at it. It's not empty. It's a waiting room. And our number has finally been called. Comment below. Tell me if you're ready. Tell me if you think we can make it. Because the observation is over. The final exam has begun.